Hello everyone and welcome to week 2 of In the Huddle, brought to you by the Intelligencer and the Bucks County Courier-Times. I'm Dom Cosentino, and joining me this week, sitting in for Kevin Cooney, is Ed Kratz. Ed, welcome and good to have you.
Thank you, Dom. I appreciate it.
Okay. We're going to run down week 1, some week 1 recap of last week, starting really, Ed, I think with North Penn, which came out and really laid it on a Liberty team that had won the state championship last year in Quad A. And a lot of people had thought might be a kind of a team that could do it again, but North Penn really laid it on them 42-10.
Yeah, that was a surprise, I would think. I expected that game to be a lot closer, and I believe Liberty came out and got the jump on them early, right? They were up 7-0 in that game.
Yeah, Liberty, in fact, scored right away with a long touchdown pass from Anthony Gonzalez to Jared West. And they were ready to score again, and then North Penn recovered a fumble, and everything seemed to kind of go North Penn's way from there. Kind of a dominating performance for Dick Beck's team. But I think one of the things that really jumped out from that for me is that North Penn not only played without Ryan Hysenius, who's out with a shoulder injury, but also lost Brandon Mercer pretty early in the game, and still managed to rush for over 300 yards and win the game by 32 points.
Well, they have plenty of depth, that's for sure. You know, every year North Penn is the program to beat, just because they have depth, and Dick Beck and his staff do a great job of developing it.
Yeah, and one of the things Ed said this week was that he was very pleased with his defense through the team's 2 scrimmages, particularly against Parkland in their second scrimmage, but he was a little disappointed with how it played against the Chamonix last week, particularly having to stop Brian Dean, who had a huge game for the Redskins last week. He was sort of the one constant that Neshaminy knew they would have coming back, and it was a very good win for Neshaminy, which now gets to face Hatboro Horsham this week in its second game.
Yeah, Hatboro Horsham's coming off a victory over Frankford last week, 7-0. Obviously, Hatboro Horsham would like to see a little more offense this week, keep the defense intact the way it was with the shutout. Interestingly, with Hatboro Horsham, it's Dave Sanderson's return as the head coach. He took a year off last year to deal with some personal issues, and Frankfurt was his alma mater, so he had his guys ready to play. Their defense looked sharp, and they'll have to really play well again this week to top the Chamonix.
Yeah, going to be a tough game for Hatboro going down there, but also a tough loss there for Harry Truman.
Team, they could get better because of the new head coach, right?
Yes.
They're a team that could improve as the season goes on. If they can move the ball and cut down the mistakes and the turnovers, maybe mid-season, they'll be ready to make some noise.
But a good opening statement for Truman nonetheless. Now, Ed, you were at the Penridge-Pottsgrove game in the opener. A tough loss for the Rams, but not necessarily a bad loss, even though Pottsgrove is a AAA team.
Well, I agree with that. Looking at that Pottsgrove team, they were very fast. They had a lot of speed, very good skill position kids. Quarterback Terrell Chestnut, who apparently is getting some looks from Penn State, one of the schools. They have an outstanding middle linebacker, who was all-state last year, who was all over the field, Preston Hamlet. And they really neutralized Penridge's offensive line. Now, if Penridge's offensive line cannot get better, it doesn't matter who your skill kids are in the backfield, and they have a couple good ones in Jesse Knepp and Ian Woolbridge and Ryan Metzler. But their offensive line is going to have to improve vastly this week. They just seem to step slow in getting to some of Pottsgrove's athletes, and Penridge was held to 11 yards rushing in that game. Not real good.
No, it's not good at all. And the Rams get an interesting challenge when they head to the lower part of the county to face the Ben Salem Owls this week. Should be another interesting week, week 2 coming up, with Souderton hosting Downingtown East here from their new stadium. And signing off for Ed Kratz, I'm Cosentino. Don't forget to check Friday night after the games on bucksmontsportsnow.com, where we'll have all the game stories as well as stats. Don't forget, we'll have all the stats at league lineup /BucksmontFBstats.com. For Ed Kratz, I'm Dom Cosentino, signing off from Souderton Area High School. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.